Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of That's Crazy. I'm Omid.
I'm Stella.
How are you doing, Stella girl?
I'm good. I was saying to my girlfriend earlier that I feel like a sim today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like, you know those days where you're just like going through the motions?
For sure.
That's how I feel today. Arriba a douche goosh.
What is that?
Sim talk. Simish.
You used to play Sims, right?
Oh, yeah, I loved
You were
Sims.
a Sims girl?
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah, I was a Sims girl.
Damn, I never got into that. Like, the most I did was like, which is not even related, like Cooking Mama.
Oh,
and,
I loved
like,
Cooking Mama.
And like Roller Coaster Tycoon. As far as like those like
Yeah.
ultra, reality type
Right.
things.
Did you ever do Club Penguin?
Never.
Oh,
Did you have
God.
a Tamagotchi?
Yeah, I did have a Tamagotchi. I loved
That's-
a Tamagotchi.
Like forever would go to Toys R Us and buy like Tamagotchis.
That was the shit.
It was the best.
Do you think our Tamagotchis are still alive?
Yeah.
I hope they're in a better place.
Yeah. I mean, like they're like might be in like a random spot in my room right now, but I'm sure they're kicking it still.
Yeah, they're just
right?
wondering if we'll ever come back.
Literally.
Oh, that's so sad.
Damn. Well, glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
We got Stella back this week.
Yeah, I was going through some health
She was
stuff.
going through some.
I've been going through some health stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm back and I'm
She's
here.
back. She's healthy, and we're talking about controlling relationships.
We've all been there, haven't we?
We've been in, controlling relationships from friendships
Yep.
to romantic, relationships.
Yeah.
Even to like people that you just meet. Like the reason why I felt like we need to talk about this is I met someone yesterday, literally, and it just sparked this idea of like sometimes you are so deep into a relationship that like you at times can feel like you can't get out of it. And, that goes with romantic friendships. So we're going to break down maybe some experiences that we've had and maybe some tips on like
Yeah.
how to get out of that. But
Absolutely.
have you ever been in like a either romantically or friendship wise, like a controlling relationship where they had some sort of like power over you?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm not really one to like bend.
Okay.
I feel like I have a pretty good stance on like what I'm willing to do and what I'm willing not to do.
Yeah.
And like, I don't really allow myself to get put in positions to be able to be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that that's kind of like a newfound thing. I've been in more platonic controlling relationships than I've been in romantic controlling relationships.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that like when it comes to love, I have a pretty stern idea of what I deserve, what I'm willing to give, and what I feel like I should receive. And so when I get like the first kind of feeling of control from a partner, it's a red flag, and that makes me step back.
Yeah.
But I'm almost like blinded to it with friends because I think my idea of what I need to have like in like a romantic way is so clear that my idea platonically can sometimes get lost in the shuffle. So I once had this girlfriend and she and I were like the best of friends. Like we were like ride or dies. But she also kind of was like super OCD, super frantic, frenetic, like all of the things. And I feel like she was kind of the reason that I started to realize like, okay, I can't let this like controlling nature keep on happening because, she would just kind of bulldoze me a lot. And it was hard because, it did end up like us not really being friends anymore. I think we're good now. Like we're pretty civil. I don't blame her for any of it, but there was a period of time where I was kind of like, fuck, how am I ever going to establish like the ground rules, the respect and the things that I need from her?
For sure.
Because I was just constantly getting bulldozed and just like having to bend for her will. And that was really difficult.
It's not fair. It's not fair to you. I've had a similar experience with like a friend where it's like, you don't necessarily think that it's like a controllingness, but
Yeah.
it's like more of a, like, I've had a friendship where, it was more of a one-sided kind of where I felt I was being controlled, and it wasn't necessarily something that person was like doing, but it was like the effect that they had on me felt like they had control over me. And so, I've had to work through that, and like I you know, it sometimes might take you a minute to like figure out, oh shit, like maybe this person does have like some weight, and some, you know, power over me that like they might not even be literally doing that, but it's so easy to fall in those situations where you're just deep in a controlling relationship because, you know, the times you are having with them might be amazing. And it's like that totally, you know, outweighs the other moments. But like when it's bad and you are feeling controlled, it's a really bad feeling.
Absolutely. Yes. The good can kind of blind us to the fact that when it is bad, it's really bad.
Yeah.
I think that for a lot of people, especially us included, like we want to see the best in people.
For sure.
And I think because we're empathetic, we try to realize like, oh, okay, there's a reason why they're doing this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I really don't think that it's intentional. Or so I'd like to believe. You know, I've had ex-boyfriends. I've had one particular boyfriend in the past where I've been like, okay, yeah, you're definitely like, you know exactly how you want me and you're going to do everything that you can to get me there.
Got it.
Which that felt a little bit more tactical. But I think for the most part, people are just kind of, they have a very clear idea of what they want their friendships to look like and what they want from other people. And sometimes the way that they execute that can be not beneficial for both parties.
Yeah.
But like in that friendship that you said that you had, what were the signs, or what were did you have moments where you woke up and you were like, oh, this isn't just like the dynamic of the relationship. This is someone that's actually trying to control how I'm living and what I'm doing to be, you know, what they want me to be. Like, what were those moments for you? What did they look like?
Those moments for me were like, it was more of on me. So like if I were to plan something with a friend and just say like they were asking me what I'm doing on Friday, like the controllingness of that other person would make me feel like, oh shit, if I don't necessarily hang out with them, like, you know, I would always kind of like, when the moment that I felt like I couldn't live my own life because I felt like there was that sense of control and sense of kind of like power over me, was when I was like, oh shit, like I gotta get out of this. And like I just kind of have to do me and be my own, because I'm the type of person and I needed to realize this, and I'm sure like if you've ever been in a situation where you've been in a controlling relationship, like you know who you are as a person, like you know, I'm growing up, like I have always been like a floater. Like I've always had like my own just friends, and
you get along with everyone.
Get along with everyone, and I, want to, space out time for everyone, and have room for a lot of people in my life. And the second that I felt like, oh shit, like all my time is being, led to just one person, that was kind of like a wake up call for me, because I was like, I know myself, and I know that no one has ever controlled me. I've always made my own thoughts. I'm an independent person. So
absolutely.
I, the second that I started feeling that, which has been, a minute before I've realized, oh shit, like I need to get back to the core Omid.
Yeah.
There was definitely signs throughout life. And it's something that I'm figuring out recently. And it's like, I meet people. Like the other night I met this girl, and I just felt like she was in this relationship that was one-sided, and she was being controlled. And I was just there for her. And I, the number one thing is to be aware and self-aware. Like it's amazing when you kind of know that you're in this situation, but a lot of times for people, it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
And like, just know your worth, and just know that like, that's just so unhealthy. There's no reason for someone to be, not letting you speak of things. No one should ever feel like someone has anything over them, no matter what. And it might be really hard to get out of a relationship like that, but the second you do, life will be so much easier and so much more happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that there is a lot of fear of like losing someone that's close to you. And especially when it is in like a controlling nature, it kind of blurs the vision of like, okay, this is healthy and this is unhealthy. I think that there's something really special about the idea of taking your power back.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's always the best way to go about like trying to get out of a controlling relationship. It's like, I'm going to own my power and I'm going to take it back.
Yep.
And it's always easier said than done to be like, okay, like I'm taking my power back and this is what I'm going to do. Like it's uncomfortable. It hurts.
Yeah.
And sometimes, most times when you go through the phase of your life where you are trying to take your power back, you lose a lot of people in the process.
Of course. Yeah.
And that pain is hard because then you have to mourn those relationships. And you also have to mourn that version of yourself that you felt comfortable in.
Yes.
Because you're growing into someone that's different. But I think evolving is a part of our nature, just as being humans. We all have to do it. Being stagnant is like a huge fear of mine. And so, I think when we get to these places of like complacency, it's easy to be like, this is what I know. This is what I'm going to do. This is the relationship that I'm in. But if you equate that to like, I equate like being not like whenever I'm in a place where I feel like I'm stagnant, I'm not moving forward, I'm in relationships that are controlling me and aren't serving me. I equate that to like death. It's like, it's the worst possible fucking thing that you could do. And I think that when you realize how important it is to be at the forefront of like what it is that you want, what it is that you're going to do to get there, and making sure that you have a support system around that. I think when you get to that place in life, it's uncomfortable, but it's also so necessary. We could spend our entire lives being told what to do. I'm the type of person that like, it's funny because I'm such a contradiction to myself. Like, I don't like being told what to do, but a lot of times when things are really tough and I don't know what to do, I need someone to just sit me down and be like, this is what you're going to do. Because in those moments, when someone sits me down that I respect and that I love and I honor their opinion, it kind of shows me what I want.
Got it.
It's like it's the same, it's kind of like a stupid thing to relate it to, but it's like, it's the same thing of like, if you don't know, like, if you want to go out or stay home, so you flip a coin, and then when like the coin like lands, you kind of have an idea of like what it is that you want
to do.
So if it lands on the thing that you want, you're like, okay, and if it doesn't, then you know that that's not what you want. I feel like that's kind of the same thing when someone sits me down and they tell me like, hey, this is what you should do. I get that sense of like urgency to make that opinion on my own. So I think it's just really important to like honor what it is that you want, and though it's uncomfortable, it's also I think more uncomfortable to allow yourself to be controlled and to be put in a position that doesn't serve you.
I love what you said about like you'd rather die than like be in that situation. And when you are in a controlling relationship, because I was blinded by this, it's like, you're right. Like, you're not living for yourself. You're not living, like,
you live in fear.
You live in fear, and you're not living like freely. And it's, and it comes down to like what you're comfortable with, and fearing that if you aren't in that relationship and don't have that kind of dynamic, that like things will not be the same. And it's a really big fear thing. And It's like the second that you are able to just talk to yourself and be real and true with yourself and know that like, okay, you got to be honest with yourself. Like, is this a good situation that I'm in? Is this worth it? Am I, and at the end of the day, can I walk on my own 2 feet out of this relationship?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also do think that like in relationships like that, it's always just leading you to the person that you're supposed to be.
Yes.
I think that's so often like when you are in a controlling relationship, you can think, well, fuck, I got to start over if I do get the courage to end this. But I don't think that there's any such thing as time wasted because there's always a lesson to be learned. Yeah. And I think that there are things that are placed in our life that are supposed to lead us into the right direction of where we're supposed to go and who we're supposed to become. And it's unfortunate because, a lot of times when you're in a controlling relationship, that can get very volatile super quick, So it's unfortunate that sometimes life throws us that journey to overcome. But I think on the other side of it, when you do get to the other side of it, you're kind of faced with the realization that it wasn't a waste of time. It brought me to where I am supposed to be today. Yeah. And that just makes us stronger. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it takes a long time to sometimes realize those things, because we aim to please.
Yep.
And that's something that's really difficult. It's finding the line between aiming to please, wanting to make your friends, your partner, your family, whoever it may be, happy.
Yep.
But also making sure that it aligns like with your truth and what you need.
Yeah.
I think that's something that takes some time to figure out.
You've been like, going back to the relationships you've had, like, have you had a specific story or a moment that you can remember where you felt like you were being controlled, and how did you go about either breaking out of that, or was it something, how was that like for you?
Yeah, no, for sure. I had a boyfriend when I was young, super young. And he was super controlling. He would dictate the things that I would do, what I would wear. I feel like when he started telling me what I could and couldn't wear was when I started to realize it was a red flag. If I wore anything too provocative, he would get really angry and make me feel like a slut, like I should feel bad about myself. And, the biggest thing is like when I choose to wear what I wear, and I choose to do my makeup, and I choose to do my hair the way that I want to, and it's not for anyone else.
Yeah.
I feel like so often people are always like, you look great, like it's fine, like they'll try to throw their opinion on you, and you're like, I appreciate that, but for me it's like I don't do it for you. I do it for myself. And it felt like everything that I was doing, he wanted it to be for him rather than for myself. And so if I wanted to wear like short shorts, it would start a fight. And, I think that was one of the things that made me realize that he was, he wasn't looking out for my best interest. He wasn't allowing me to be the person that I am. I got really lucky in that situation because I found out that he was, we've talked about this on the podcast before, emotional cheating. Yeah. I found out that he was emotionally cheating on me, messaging other girls. So I was like, okay, like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he would tell me what I could and couldn't wear, who I could talk to and who I couldn't talk to. He was really threatened about the idea of me having other guy friends. Couldn't really wrap his mind around the fact that I could be friends with guys that I didn't want to fuck. And it was so stupid to me, because I think a lot of that comes back to like, his own insecurities.
Yeah.
And I tried to justify that for him. The dude had a really rough life, and he was kind of going through a rough time. So I wanted to be there for him. I was an emotional punching bag for him. Yeah. But I said to myself, but he's going through something really hard. I'm the closest to him, like, of course he's going to take it out on me because I'm here. It's proximity. Like, I'm here. Of course he's going to take it on me because he loves me and he's going through a hard time. I tried to justify his actions. But the thing is that, like, and this kind of also breaches the conversation of boundaries.
Yep.
But the thing that I realize is, like, unless he treats me with respect, I can't treat him with respect. And the way that he was talking to me, the way that he was trying to go about things with me, just made me realize that he didn't respect me. He didn't respect what I wanted, what I needed. And I couldn't get down with that. Granted, I was really young, so I think it was easier for me. I feel like it'd be hard in a moment, like if you're engaged or if you're in a long-term relationship, you have kids, you're married, whatever it may be, you've known this person for your entire life. Like, there's so many other factors that can fucking play into the reason why we stay.
Yep.
Make it harder.
Yep.
So I got really lucky in the sense that he kind of drove me to that. But, I think that when you're making excuses for other people to treat you badly is when you should take a step back and say, no one should be treating me badly.
Yeah.
There are moments where we slip up, and sure, like, I've said really fucked up things to friends and ex-boyfriends and been like, oh my God, I take it back. Those moments of making mistakes, I think, are okay.
Yeah.
As long as if we learn from it. But when someone is repeatedly trying to kick you while you're down, trying to make you feel like you're not, like, worth anything, like, those moments are when you really need to step back, and it's like, it doesn't matter if you love them, like, that's not okay. And they have to figure that shit out on their own. So those have been my moments for me after that relationship, which was, like, honestly one of, like, my first kind of relationships. It allowed me to open up my eyes to, like, I can't get down with that. And now I don't really stand for that in my relationships, but in friendships, I deal with that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I just really try to set boundaries with people and let them know, like, this is how you can address things with me. This is what I need from you. And if they get controlling, I just kind of like tell them, that's not going to fucking work for me.
Just stop.
That's just not going to work for me.
Yeah.
But it is hard because I think that, like, I was almost like paved the path to be like forged that way. So if you haven't dealt with a lot of that in your life, it's harder to recognize
it. And
it's harder to get out of.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate in that sense. But, I do think that whenever we're presented the opportunity to realize our worth and to realize what we do need and what we don't need, we have to be honest with that.
Yeah. I feel like there are some things that if you are in a controlling relationship, that there's some red flags that might pop up.
Right.
And like some of those for me would be, for example, if you are in a friendship and you feel like you can't do anything without telling that person. Like if I go and hang out with a friend or, having the need to constantly be telling them what you're doing, that's probably a sign that there's some sort of control on one side of it, or that feel that need of having to, report back.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's one red flag. Another red flag would be, for example, if you have a partner that is constantly judging, constantly belittling. Yeah, exactly. If you're going out and they're texting you, where are you at? Who are you with? Why are you drunk right now? Like those things. And I've had many friends that have had boyfriends that have been controlling in the sense of they feel like they cannot do anything without them, being judgmental. Yeah. That is a sure sign. I've had friends that have gone that and have still stuck with those boyfriends. And, that is a big red flag. If your partner is constantly, just not letting you live your life.
Yeah.
That's a big red flag. What are some red flags for you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Those are huge. I feel like, if you ever feel like a sense of being silenced and not being able to be honest about speak your mind, not being able to be honest about what you need, what you want, those are red flags. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just like, if your partner doesn't, or if said person, if anyone in your life doesn't want to acknowledge what it is that you need and that you want, and doesn't support you through that, then that's something that you should kind of step back and think like, okay, well, realistically, we should always have supportive people around us. Yeah. Obviously it's never black and white where it's like, you could have a really bad idea and you need someone to fucking talk you through the motions. But like, I do think that like, if you ever feel like you're having to be someone that you're not, to please someone else, is always a great time to just like step back and, really think about the reasons as to why you feel like you have to do that. And I do think that when we are trying to be a different person to please someone else, that's going to just do more harm than it is good. Yeah. Because if you're not being like 100% authentically yourself, then you're suffering and everyone else around you starts to suffer. So I think just like, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it hurts, even if you're not sure what standing up for yourself is going to lead to, I do think that there's always something like better on the other side, and, you could always be proven wrong and you could always say what it is that you need from that person and they could fucking take it and be like, you're right. Yep. Let me change the way that I've been reacting. Because a lot of times, like I said earlier, like, I don't think that people are intentionally being controlling.
True.
They're just projecting onto you what they need.
Yes.
And that's okay to a certain degree. Until you start to suffer. So I think that, just being honest with yourself and allowing people those opportunities to see what it is that you need from them is massive. Yeah. And if they get angry or defensive, or or whatever it may be, then clearly that's them showing you who they are, and it's better to remove yourself from that situation.
Oof.
It's hard,
Yeah.
you know, it's a tough thing, but I don't know. It's one of those things that I think a lot of people deal with, and
You're gonna grow and you're gonna be stronger, and I think that's that's something that just happens in life. You know, people's personalities are so different.
Yeah.
And like it's so easy to come across someone that's just wanting to constantly be in control of everything in their lives.
claiming our power back is
Yep.
something that we have the luxury of doing in this
Yep.
generation.
Yep.
So we can't take that for granted. We have to like pave the path for,
Yeah.
you know, the rest of the generations to know what it is that we're willing to give and what we're willing to receive and what we need to receive. And we're kind of at this turning point where I think we're allowed to be really honest.
Yeah.
You know, I think for a long time, like so many people were silenced constantly, and now that we're kind of like at this turning point, we got to take that and make sure that we're, you know, using that privilege to not only make it easier for us to move forward, but for everyone else around us. So I think there is a lot of strength with that. I think that we can all fucking stand our ground and you know, get out of those relationships. And
Hey, if they ain't paying for your bills, they should be having no control of your ass.
Even if they pay for
actually,
your
true.
bills.
Wait, true. No, just no. They cannot be controlling you.
no,
Don't let anyone control you.
Only you can.
Only you
control
control you. Only you control you. That's what we learned today.
That's what we learned today. I like it.
I love it. I love it. We're always here for you.
Yes.
And we hope you learn something from our experience, that you are able to get out of a controlling relationship if you are in one, and just being aware and being honest is number one.
Absolutely. And, you know, let us know if you guys have been through something that you can shed some light. Because, you know, obviously everything that we have to say is solely based on our experiences. But we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you have any help or advice for anyone, share your stories with us. I think we're stronger in numbers.
Amen.
So we'd love to hear from you guys. But yeah, thanks for listening.
We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Mwah. Bye.